what we call him. Pierre is a person that I know him for a while, right, Chanda? So he's an auditory person, so they tend to kind of be a low key type of person, right? And so, if you see here, it's auditory, visual, right, kinesthetic, olfactory, those are the what we call sensory input channels, right? But Pierre, one of the things I want to tell you is 77% of your effective closing is only what you say. Okay. The other 38% is your tonality. One of the things that I have to improve, I'm sorry, that I recommend is increasing or improving your tonality. Because like me, right? I know you. I know that you talk this way. I know Matt talks this way, right? However, I'm like cringing in my chair, right? So because that effectiveness and that tonality, even if it's not your personality, right? You have to become them. In NLP, there's something called pacing and leading, right? So if a person tends to be like me that talks, strong, that I use my body language and stuff like that, you're going to have to imitate them. And then the words, once you memorize them, you have to say, okay, this person like Tony Reyna, is very similar, right? He's always talking fast, he's talking loud, right, like that. And so you have to imitate that person and take him where you want to go. And the last thing, the third thing is the physiology. Now on social, I mean on Zoom, I know it's hard to read body language, but that's why you can't have somebody with the cameras off. I don't even talk to that person, right? And so it's posture, the way you sit, right? The camera, all I see is your head, right? So I don't know, you're probably on your phone, but the tonality is the big chunk of you did the words, nervous, I get it, but the tonality, man. So if you can practice on, man, hey Shonda, how you doing? Da, da, da. Listen, and then just go through the words, and if we have enough camera space that I can use my hands, and I can say, hey, listen, wow, okay, you know, so I was in the same position. Have you ever heard of while actively at work? No. Okay, let me pull that up real quick so you can read it. And then I'll show them actively at work, right? And so I'm trying to imitate them. Now, if they tend to look away over there and they're not paying attention, I stop, right? Top Hopkins says you pause. You don't move. You pause and you keep going. So my biggest challenge to you, Pierre, is record yourself. Listen to how you talk, listen to how you say the words. Okay. So I know again, Pierre's a very, very low key guy, but he's also an auditory person, which means he tends to kind of repeat certain things several times because that's his internal representation. So that's why I wanted to give you that feedback, Pierre.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I know, Coach, you always uh resembled, us going through it like actors. We gotta adopt it like, reading the script and we're adopting it in the acting way. And you're absolutely right. We have to go in and include more so tonality, um, our pace, our us speaking up, speaking with um more of being more projective and things of that nature, and especially pacing with the individual and their energy and things of that nature. So, I absolutely completely see where you was cringing and things of that nature with the fact that I wasn't adopting and adapting as effectively as I could have.
I
But
got you.
thank you
I got
very
you.
much
And
for
that's
leaving.
why it's better, in my opinion, RVPs, it's better that you stuck in front of your peers than stuck in front of your clients. That's the whole point, right? Better that you mess up here than we don't mess up in front of our clients. That's
That's
the
true.
goal,
That's true.
and so, but I'm proud of you for putting yourself in that position, to be able to want to learn. And, I'm taking this idea, Shonda, I'm taking these ideas and bringing training back to our office. We have the system, we have the straight line. Um, and so anyway, don't want to cut in anymore, but that was my feedback. It's just, man, energy. And you notice as soon as he started moving his hands, right before he was like this, but now he's
Right.
like, yeah, I gotta do this, right? Physiology is 55%. It's like, it's not what you say, It's not how you say it, but it's also how you express it.
Yeah, and I would like to add, first of all, it was good because you did it. That's the first thing. Second thing is you definitely recognize that you need to practice, and we all do need to practice, and it gets better as you go. So that's what I would say, and definitely to record yourself doing it because then once you get it and it sounds really good, then you can start to hear that. I play myself doing it every day. I mean, it's so I can always hear the whole entire thing. I can hear it and all that kind of stuff. So you always do that. Um, I wanted to just say that what Shonda showed, the latest version, and I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm saying this is right. And I think we need to put this one back in the latest version because it's missing in the latest version. It's broken up differently. But this part of it for the actively at work piece is the one that has the script, everything flows and everything. So, we might need to cut that piece back in so-called the latest version. Now, I know Shonda's already locked into this one and she ain't changing it anyway, so that's not a big deal. But if anybody's trying to keep theirs up and keeping things with the best, Christian made some changes and he didn't keep that one in there that way, but that's the best one. So.
Yeah, it's because this one has the script. The other one I think is better as far as the slide looks, but it doesn't have the words. The new one. So I agree with you. Good job, Pierre.
Hey, Pierre, let me help you, which might help you. See, A said something about have a different tonality. Question is, how do you practice that? How do you become a person who has a different tonality? Here's my recommendation to you. Whenever you're practicing it, walk. Don't practice it or don't record yourself just by sitting. When you're sitting mode, you have a lower energy. When you're standing and walking and talking, your energy level is higher. When your energy level is higher, guess what happens? It works on your tonality. So when you do that, try walk and talk. When you walk and talk, it adjusts your tonality because you breathe differently, right? So when I'm talking to a client and I always get to a point where, okay, I'm going to walk. I intentionally do that. When I'm setting an appointment, I walk and talk because that automatically adjusts. So try that. That might help you.
Yeah, my I guess my only feedback is really I understand, kind of the low key. My husband's like that, very, kind of calm, quiet. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't, but one of the things that he is able to do is when even though he still has that same tone, he's able to inflict emotion where it needs to be based on the way that he says the words. So when you're talking about something being evil, right? You're like this evil active at work requirement. You don't have to get as amped up as Ace or as loud as Tony, right, to say it. But think about the words that you're saying. This is something horrible that these people have in this life insurance policy. You might not have to say it loudly, but you can change your tone or change your stance. This evil, lean in. You don't have to get loud and get out of your personality to do it. There's still ways to come across and still be yourself without, you know, doing all of those things. So I would just say that you have to really internalize what it is that you're saying, which again comes with knowing what you're about to say, role playing, having everything down so that you don't have to necessarily change who you are, but you do have to internalize what you're saying so that it means something to you when it's coming out.
I did forget one thing. This is for you, Pierre, distinctly, because a lot of people do it when they do it. I believe that the scripting that Christian put together is all we need to say. So you added other stuff in there. I think you don't need to. Because what I figured out was that he had 39 years or whatever, and whatever I got, I ain't got enough experience to go ahead and say it's not good. So I just need to do exactly what he said and only that.
Mhm.
If you do it, it works. And it keeps it down to less words and less thoughts. And you're interjecting. Anytime you put in another sentence in there, you're giving them something else to think about. Whereas if you just do the words that are in there the way he's got it, it's going to flow to the next common thing that he wants to be next. So that I would caution anybody who's got a script to add anything. Do not do that.
I agree. One of the reasons why I add stuff in the very beginning before I start talking about that is because, again, I'm interjecting my story as I go through. So that's a part of my story that I was a teacher. I actually asked for my policy. Like that's still interjecting a part of my story. So some people tell their entire story up front. Some people kind of, tell it a little bit as you go throughout the presentation. And I tell a little bit up front. And then on parts where I can interject a little of my story, I do that along the way as well as it's necessary or as I see fit. So that's just me sharing a little bit of my story. But I did want to
Actually,
also.
I was following that because I'm working in the county. I work in a school county as well, so it's a relation. So you know, like I said, I had my tonality been right, it would have went along with the fact that that is my experience. That is exactly my experience. Things of that nature.
Thank you. So just to share a few other resources, Christian does have also have this slide, and this is from another actively at work requirement. So these are all in the KT masterpiece, just so you know. So if you can even say that's not the only, if they're giving you, well, I'm sure it's not in mine. Well, here's another example, from a different policy, not written the exact same way, but it does have the same things. So, I mean, he has a lot of resources in the KT Masterpiece. There are also other resources that we do have that if you don't have, I would recommend you look on Telegram. We have the um the letter of the insurance denial. And again, these are things, this is the advanced group, right? So these are things that you can use in addition to that what's in the KT masterpiece in the event that you have someone that kind of feels like, because we all get those people, oh, it's not in my policy. I work for this. And those those kinds of things, right? And so these allow it to go a little bit further, to allow you to be able to dive a little bit deeper. So this one is the denial of a claim because of the person not being actively at work. So this letter is in the Telegram. And then, of course, there's also the video that we have that's on YouTube, with the claim not being paid or whatever. So if you don't have any of those things, those are also additional tools that you can put in your arsenal in order to be able to really stomp dead a group policy if a person is not still moving after you've gone through that slide. All right. RVPs, you have anything else to add?
I want to show something real quick too. This is what Ellis is talking about. In the new one, this is what the slide looks like now. So it's this page here, and then this pops up, and then here, and then this. And so this is then here, and then the actively at work requirement. And then it says what it's a work day, what's not, when you need to come back. And then it has your letter, but the letter pulls up the important parts here. So the new one, the new KT masterpiece, no video, it doesn't have this page. So I just did what you were talking about because I think Ellis is right about these words is important. But for me personally, I like how this goes. So I know these words of what to ask, but I go through this one in a little bit different way. So this page is actually not in the new KT masterpiece. So if anybody wants that page or needs it, um, You got to go back and open up a
Yeah,
old.
well, I'm sorry. I can't even keep up with the new KT
Yeah,
masterpieces.
I
It's
understand.
800 ones.
Um,
So I stopped downloading them a long time ago because
yeah,
I don't know. It's
I
like
understand.
every time I download one, he makes a change and then puts another one on the Telegram. So but yeah, so just so you know, all those resources are available, and most of them, even if you have a particular presentation that you use, they are available in the Telegram under the documents by themselves. Like the letter is called denial and group insurance denial letter or something, and then you can find all of those other resources to be able to use them and have them in your arsenal for when you need them. So, that's one of the most common things. And then what I do also is anytime I encounter other group policies, I probably have like four or five or maybe even six other ones from people who said that same thing to me. Oh, I don't think that this is in my policy. Okay, well, what if it was? Would you want to know?
Yeah, go get it.
Yeah. So how about this? How about you get a copy of your policy that you have through your job, and we just take a look at it just to make sure that it's not in your policy, right? So a nurse told me that she worked for university. We found it in her policy, right? So I have her policy. I have another young lady that told me that I forget where she worked for, but she was like the head office person of this company, and her company wouldn't do that to them.
Yeah, right.
And so that was Sun Life. We found it in her policy, right? So I would also recommend that you start to build your own personal arsenal where when people tell you that and you've gone through it and they still don't believe you, because I mean, sometimes that does happen. Well, then you say, well, what if it was? Would you want to
Mhm.
know? Would it be important for you to know? When should you find out? Could you die at any time? And if you died, would you have wanted to know if that was going to happen to your family? Okay, so how soon can you get a copy of your policy? Well, I can get it tomorrow. Okay, so can we get back together on Wednesday, take a look at it? All right, and so then you get them to send it to you, and now you have another one that you're able to add to that whole arsenal of yours. So as you know, these are just resources, tools in your toolbox, but you should also be building your own toolbox. You're a business for yourself, right? You should have some stuff that you were able to find, gather, see over the years, over the months, right? Because then when you talk about those things, you can say them just like I can talk about a nurse and another nurse at another hospital, right? I got a Mercy one, I got universities, I got all kinds of ones because people have told me that, right? And so if teachers have it and nurses have it and heads of departments have it, and you don't think you have it?
Right. Why?
You don't think they did that?
You think your company cares so much about you? They really, really just they got your back.
And a good question that I always ask is, do you think this insurance is in place to protect the employees or to protect the employer?
That's a great question.
Right.
To protect the employer.
And I
Okay.
think
So
the
if that's the case, are all companies, all corporations trying to protect themselves? So does it make sense that when they made this, they weren't really concerned with you? It wasn't a shot against you. It wasn't anything personal. It's just business. Is that possible that that could be the case? And so something as important as your life insurance, do you think that the one provided through your company should be the only one that you have? Okay.
the other thing is that the fact that they all have the certificate, I always leave that one there. I'm like, okay, so do you have the policy? And they say no. I said, well, can you get it? And they say, yeah, but sometimes they can't find it. They're never getting it.
They
Most
So
of the
can't.
time.
yeah, most of the time. So that should already be a big clue. But when you go through the rest of the stuff, it's usually you don't even have to come back to that. But
Hmm.
definitely.
One thing
Hopefully
you
these
might want
resources
to
are right.
understand this active work clause, and as I have not seen it, it's not available in FEGLI if you're a federal government employee. I have not seen it. I don't know if you have, anybody else has. I would like to see it because FEGLI has, it works differently. So FEGLI does not have it. So if you're talking to a person who's a federal government employee and has a FEGLI, people work on a post office, people work with the federal government. They don't have, I have not seen it,
I
but
was
they
going to
do.
say, Tony, talk to Allison because I'm almost sure that they do have it. It's just that theirs is a longer grace period. So it's like they have to be out of work for a longer period of time, where it actually tells them in their policy length of time that they have to be out of work in order for that policy not to pay out. And I feel like it's somewhere between 6 months and a year. But that's definitely something to bring back up when we get on the main call because if I'm not certain, Allison
Yeah, I would
um
like to see that. That's a
knows
good
for
copy to
sure.
have then, because I
Yeah,
have not
knows for
seen it.
sure
Yeah,
what that
yeah,
would
yeah,
be.
yeah,
So
yeah. That'd be great.
but yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, it's just that in their policies they give specifics as
Okay.
to the amount of time that you can actually be out from work before it's no longer valid.
I
Um
have seen what happens after they leave the job to their group policy. That much I know. What can happen, what is available to them. But I would like to see a copy where it says, oh, that'll be a great tool to have for the federal employees because the one they have
Absolutely.
is a 5-year increasing term. So,
Hmm.
so we would definitely would like to see if Ellison has something on that type.
Let's go over there. We got
It's time
five
for us
minutes.
to go back over so we
Yep.
can